Hi, thanks, Mark and Tim, for joining us today. For our viewers, on the lower screen is Tim Fulkerson, and on your upper left is Mark Godley. Hi, I'm George Callis. We're going to have a bit of a conversation here with Tim and Mark. They are our newest board members here at the Sea Ranch. They were elected in the last election, which was completed over the Memorial Day weekend about a week ago. And I thought it'd be nice to hear from them and hear their thoughts about the future on the board, the future of Sea Ranch, and some other issues that are on the horizon there. Anyway, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, let's.
Thanks too to the community. I think they spoke up, and I know from my vantage point, I feel incredibly humble in the trust that the community's put into us both to help resolve some challenging issues, including finding an interim community manager and a community manager.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Certainly, the community has voiced, that we went through the democratic process. And that being said, there are still some very divergent opinions, and I think it would be fair to say that we're still in some kind of polarized state here at the Sea Ranch. The degree of that is up for discussion, but I'd love to hear what both of you think, about our current state. Polarization, maybe we're a little polarized, maybe we're a lot polarized. We can debate that, but more specifically, here you are both now on the board. How are you going to approach this situation?
You want to Rochambeau this? Okay. Like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first footsteps. And so here we are. We're not even a week into having been elected, and we're having this conversation with you in part so that we can begin to co-create the community that all of us are wanting, I think, just to return to. I guess part of this, in my view, is Mark and I ran on a campaign. One of the key planks was to that less is more, right? To really get focused. And we had no idea that the state of the community and the association was as tenuous. We had some sense of that. And it really has played out over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks. And so I think there's a lot of emotion in the community, and rightly so. I think our goal, certainly mine, and Mark will share his, is to try to ratchet down some of the temperature and the emotion by communicating. That's what we're hoping to do here. And for example, Mark came up just for the day on Sunday, drove all the way up and went all the way back to the bay, but came up to be part of the volunteer fire department and to listen to people, as did I. I came up and it was really important as a starting point. And so I think communication will be a really important starting point for the community, and now as a member of a board, and also in that sense now as a member of the community who is invested with responsibility for helping our association staff to get landed and to start moving a very challenged staff who is overworked into a place where they feel supported and where we can start to hire some of the vacancies that exist. And so, for example, John Prescott and his F&R crew, which is down 25%, can actually get out and mow the sides of the roads and the trails.
Right.
Like that.
Mark, why don't you expand a little bit? Here we are polarized. How are we going to move ahead? What are you going to do?
Look, I think we're just wrapping up a very divisive time in the campaign. It's now behind us. And what I am already seeing happen is the membership turned up in the highest percentage of voting in recent history. I don't know, might even be ever. Members are volunteering for committees. There's organic stuff bubbling to the surface, like what you're doing, George, like the neighborhood groups that are coming together.
Right.
I already believe that first of all, I never thought we were polarized. I thought we were very passionate and had disagreements. And I think we're already seeing that start to dissipate. We're seeing us start to coalesce around issues of importance to all of us. And I think Tim and I and all the board members are listening more to the membership. And we're going to focus on issues where we have violent agreement going forward. So I already think we're on the path to recovery. And I'll just say, as far as the board goes, Tim and I have already participated in a lot of board activity, and I have found the rest of the board members to be nothing but committed, thoughtful, open, and inclusive and welcoming of us. So I am thrilled with where we are as an organization. And as we now start fixing some of the staffing gaps, I think the rest of the membership is going to see some of the early shoots that Tim and I are seeing in our interactions.
Speaking of, let's segue to staffing, and of course the important staff decision that you and the board and select others have been involved with are selecting the interim community manager. You all are in the middle of that process right now, and expecting to conclude that shortly, maybe in a day or two or three or a week or whatever it works out. But let's talk about what's important in a community manager. What are the skills and the knowledge and the personality, or maybe not the personality, the style, the approach that you both feel are important in a community manager, be that an interim community manager or ostensibly down the road when we're thinking about a permanent community manager? What's the kind of person that we're looking for, that you are looking for?
Go ahead, Tim.
Thanks. Yeah. There are, I want to just name that I'm happy to identify a list of qualities and capabilities, experiences that I think would help serve the Sea Ranch in this moment. And I also want to notice that no one person is going to embody all of these skills or capabilities. And so in that way, what we're trying to do as a board and as a community, because the community as well as the staff have been part of the process. We had our first set of conversations together, these three groups, on Wednesday, and so there were some interesting pieces to those conversations that I won't speak to directly, but I will sort of create an overarching set of thoughts about what I think would serve. So here they go. First, I think having some real experience running what is essentially a town is actually pretty important. We are a very large organization. And as has been said before, the staff is responsible for helping to oversee, along with the board and with the community's help, a $3 billion real estate development. And so there are a number of core aspects to running the shop, that are about keeping the lights on. And so we can pretty easily name these things, right? We have a water company, and we have roads, we have trails, we have now an internet infrastructure, and so ensuring that those things, including a rec center as well as member services, all of those things are working and functioning well, is a big deal. And we have real challenges right now, in part because our headcount is down. Another is that this person who we put in charge of running the staff and association, I think doesn't just have to have the relational abilities and history of running a large organization, but which is to name sort of the task-based focus of doing the day-to-day things, but also has to have the deep relational abilities to relate to the staff, to connect and relate to the board, and to do something that I think we through the campaign identified as a challenge, which of course it was a challenge in large part because of pandemic, but to really be able to connect with and relate to the community. So I think those qualities are important. This person needs to have a thick skin because of course we're sea ranchers and we all know best, you know, and we're not afraid to get onto the list and, you know, toss our biggest bombs that we can toss out and see what shows up. I personally hope that we stop doing the bomb throwing, you know. I don't think it serves us as a community. I am certain that the bomb throwing has landed us exactly in the place that we deserve to be, and having lost a community manager and frankly a couple of board members along with it, it's painful, and some staff as well. Yeah. So thick skin is going to be important, and yeah, other things. There's just a way, and personally, in which I hope this person, from a permanent CM perspective, can begin to embody some of the qualities that I think this community is probably wanting, and you know, all of us need some help being led there. So, for example, all of us are dealing with climate change, some experience there, some diversity in our very white and older retirement community parts of it. We're having lots of young families come on board, and so diversity in many different respects. We are also, you know, obviously experienced a huge increase in housing prices, and that's going to be a real challenge for us in hiring new people to come in and be a part of this place and the vision. And, you know, as we're seeing on the list served today, considering and really thinking about our vision and who we are, again, reconnecting to our values, or recreating a new set of values that can lead us forward, I think will ultimately be an important part of the board, the community, and our staff, including our CM, to really think about. So,
Mark, let me turn the question just a bit. Tim enumerated several of the qualities, key core qualities, and I'll assume that you're generally in sync with that. Next question, but let me pivot a little bit. You've been speaking with potential interim CM candidates over the last several days, and you have I believe, a short list of several folks. Do you feel like you're seeing some of these qualities that Tim described appearing in some of the person, with the understanding that no single individual is Mr. or Miss Perfect?
Yeah.
Are you seeing it?
Yes, I think we are going to end up with, we're going to delight the community with an interim CM decision. I know when the schedule first came out, it took my breath away that, can we really pull this off? There are some that thought this might be, you know, have a presumed end in mind. I don't think that was the case. I think the board really wants to get us on solid footing.
Your belief is
an expedited process, and we have a number of candidates that meet the criteria Tim outlined. We've had staff participate. We've had members of the policy committees participate, and everyone has come back very excited about the pool of candidates that are in the process of being evaluated.
Good. So I want to just reiterate a point that you made. I'm going to phrase it differently. So in each of your viewpoints, you can just nod yes or no. There wasn't a fix in on this.
No.
Right.
No.
This looks to be like it was a fair a fair process. You're interviewing everyone. It's on a level field with everybody. From your point of view, that's what it looks like.
So I want to speak to this directly because I know the optics and the timing here has been terrible for going into the election to lose our community manager and Jennifer. That's tough, and the timing has been tough. And I know people have a certain amount of skepticism. Mark and I have been read in, and I can say that I feel comfortable with where we are right now in this process, and that it was a difficult and very challenging decision, and probably in the long run, it is what it is now. And so we're moving forward, and it is all in good faith. Yeah.
Because for better or for worse, and I think you both would agree, this board owns this situation.
We do.
Regardless of who gets selected, and as fair and level a process as you're telling us it is, and but for better or for worse, you two and 5 other people, our board, own this one. So it's momentous in that, given our history over the last 2 years, it's a pretty major decision.
Yeah.
Good.
And George, let me say one thing about the interim versus the long term. I think
Please.
The skill sets we might need for the interim might be very different than what we need for long term. So and we talked about that, the 8 or 9 people, that actually 10 or so people or more that were involved here. So in the event that we come to conclusion in the next week or 2 on the interim, I think the criteria that we eventually use for the long term is yet to be determined. The process we use is yet to be determined. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to participate in that. So we need to get the train back on the tracks, keep it on the tracks, which we hope to be doing in June. And then we need to have a process that is less hurried, that gets us to the right place with a long-term SAM.
Super. Well, we've about reached the end of our time. So Tim and Mark, I do thank you once again. Congratulations, and you've got a lot of real work ahead of you, and I wish you.
We all do, George. We're all doing our part. Thank you for what you're doing.